Dolphins Today is sponsored by Mint Mobile. They have cell phone plans starting as low as $15 per month. If you go to mintmobile.com/chatsports, that's where you can get that great deal. We'll tell you more about that deal later on in today's show. And today's show is a Dolphins Today mailbag that we're recording during Dolphins Live. Appreciate you all watching and getting your questions in. Top Tier Gaming has been an MVP today. We appreciate you, man. He says, we need depth at corner and offensive line. Do you think we'll actually make a trade or be stubborn? Well, Chris Greer, as we all know, is very stubborn when it comes to the offensive line. But at what point are you going to have to make some changes, right? At least try to shift around the current offensive line. Liam Eichenberg is the worst-rated guard, according to PFF, in the entire league right now. That's a problem. Luckily, you have Austin Jackson back. I'd make a trade, and I'm going to talk about a right tackle that I want in a second, but I'd make a trade for a right tackle and then move AJ back to left guard. I do think they will make a trade. I don't know if it's going to be a significant trade, but maybe I think it's more likely they trade for a corner. Top Tier Gaming. The Elite. Should Miami bring in Cam Newton for a visit if Tua is out 2 or more weeks? No. I am not in favor of signing Cam Newton. Now, if Tua does suffer a setback, which I don't think he will, he's progressing well through the protocol, then maybe at that point you do assign a quarterback. Now, they do have Reed Center on the practice squad, but you have Teddy Bridgewater. He's one of the better backups in the league. You have Skylar Thompson, who I have a lot of confidence in as the third string. So, no, I don't think bringing in Cam Newton makes any sense. Fins Fan Kev saying, who's your top trade target for the Dolphins? That is a great question. And right now there's a lot of Carolina Panthers in trade rumors because they fired Matt Rule. And many around the league believe, there's going to be a fire sale going on. And I know I've talked about Christian McCaffrey before in the past. However, Taylor Moton is who I want in Miami, who I think on the Panthers makes the most sense. Veteran tackle who could potentially be on the move with Carolina selling at the deadline. Just 1 sack allowed this season. He'd be a big upgrade over who you currently have at that position. That's Greg Little. Now, I know you have Austin Jackson coming back, but again, I like the idea of getting Liam Eichenberg out of town, or at least out of this starting lineup for the Fins. Move AJ to left guard. Moton could be your right tackle. Do you want to trade for Taylor Moton? Type T for trade or type P for pass down in the comment section. Go down. Let me know. It's the pinned comment. Reply to it when you get a second. Gavin Owens, appreciate you watching as always. Hey, Will, do you think Sky can win this game against the Vikings? I absolutely do. And when you look at how Sky did last week, I know a lot of us were disappointed in his performance, but you have to keep in mind it was his NFL debut on the road. He didn't have any first-team reps in practice all week. I think that was the most significant thing when looking at his performance. So now he's had first-team reps. That's really going to help him in terms of game prep for Sunday, but the offensive line has to be better. If the offensive line can hold up okay, like they did in the first 2 weeks of the season, then we can win this game with Skylar Thompson at quarterback. John Ruiz, we appreciate you, John. Trade Austin Jackson and Mike Gesicki for Teven Jenkins and a tight end and a 4th-round pick. That's interesting. I've talked a lot about Teven Jenkins. He's a guy that I think could potentially be moved if Chicago loses tonight. Maybe they'll be, sellers instead of buyers at the deadline. I really like the idea of trading for Jenkins, and I do know that Chicago needs some more weapons for their young quarterback, Justin Fields. Perhaps Mike Gesicki could be an appealing part of that package. Jacob Robertson, thanks for the super chat. Do you think we'll see more blitz packages on Sunday against the Vikings? Josh Boyer, man's got to step it up. I've been pretty disappointed in how he's done his DC this year. I do like the safety blitzes he's put together with Brandon Jones. That's had some success. You got to put some pressure, though, on Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, I think, is actually a pretty good quarterback. You got to pressure him. Yes, I do think we're going to see some blitz packages put together. And Josh Boyer knows the defense has got to play a lot better, specifically the secondary. Before we get into more questions, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Mint Mobile, because if you go to mintmobile.com/chatsports, you can get the best cell phone plan around. You're going to get unlimited talk and text. Your mom's going to ask you to stop calling so much because you're going to have all that unlimited talk and text. And you're going to get high-speed data. Your service will switch seamlessly between 5G and 4G LTE. You know, whenever you're on your phone and you don't feel like you've had the strongest possible connection, that's not going to happen with Mint Mobile. They're going to connect you to whatever network is the strongest. Most importantly, cell phone plans starting as low as $15 per month. That's the link right there to pick up that deal. MintMobile.com/chatsports. That link in the comments and the description of this video. MintMobile.com/chatsports. Chucky, we appreciate the super chat. Thanks for tuning in and supporting the show. I predict Skynet, Skylar Thompson, will lead the Dolphins for the win this weekend. 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Defense will step it up too. You know, it's funny you say that, Chucky. I was talking with producer Patrick Seaman, who's a Vikings fan. I told him I think Skylar's going to go off on Sunday. I really do. I think we're going to be. I think a lot of us might be surprised at how well Skylar performs. I think that's a fairly realistic stat line, but you're right. The defense has got to step it up as well for the Dolphins to win this game. The Vikings offense, pretty solid. Future Dolphins receiver, appreciate the question. Should the Dolphins trade for Christian McCaffrey and also a solid right tackle to set the edge? Yeah, I mean, I really like the idea of trade for McCaffrey. I don't know if it makes that much sense from the Panthers side because they wouldn't save a whole lot of money moving him right now. But again, because they fired Matt Rule, because they low-key might be trying to tank, there might be a fire sale over there in Carolina at the trade deadline. So Christian McCaffrey going to be one of the names linked in terms of trade rumors over there. But I do really like that idea. Now, Raheem Mostert finally had that breakout game we've been looking for. He was the first Dolphins running back this season to rush for over 70 yards in a game. He went for over 110 yards against the Jets. So I really like Mostert, but if Mostert cannot show consistency in the next 2 weeks, then yes, I would say trade for McCaffrey. In terms of the right tackle, Taylor Moton, as we discussed earlier, would be solid. I would love a package where the Dolphins could just get an absolute steal for both of them. I don't know how that's not realistic, but it'd be pretty sweet. Billy Fins! That's my burner. Which Dolphin is most likely to be traded at the deadline? No, I know a lot of y'all are probably saying Mike Gesicki. I would still say Myles Gaskin. And I understand we finally saw him on the field last Sunday, but that might have been for the sole purpose of increasing his trade value. That was his first touches of the entire season, pretty wild. But Myles Gaskin, I think, is a pretty strong trade candidate at this point. Go down and predict it. Will Myles Gaskin be traded? Type Y for yes or type N for no down in the comment section. Go down. Let me know what you think. Will Myles Gaskin be traded? Nars C, we appreciate the question. We need to keep this defense hyped. I really want to see how we were week 1 versus the Patriots. Do you think so as well? Yeah, the defense since that game has been pretty disappointing. I mean, even against Buffalo, they stepped up in the end, but they gave up a lot of yards to that Bills team. So the defense has got to get better. That starts with Josh Boyer. I understand there's some guys banged up in the secondary, but I think this week they'll be a lot better. Mr. Frynai saying Jerome Baker for Deion Jones. We'll have some bad news for you, Mr. Frynai. Deion Jones has already been traded to the Cleveland Browns, and he was my number 1 trade target for the Dolphins. I thought he'd been a great fit, but Deion is not going anywhere now that he's in Cleveland. Wendell Witt, watching from the Philippines. We appreciate you always tuning in. I think we will run the ball a lot. What do you think? Well, that's a good point, Wendell, because you are starting a third-string rookie quarterback, and normally when that happens, a team will tend to run the football a little more. And when you look at the success that Mostert had last week, yes, I do expect them to run the ball a little bit more, take some pressure off Skylar Thompson. Maybe we'll see Myles Gaskin get more involved as well. Chase Edmonds saying earlier this week in practice that he's got to be a lot better. So maybe those 3 guys will get involved. Go down, follow me on Twitter at WillScott44. If I did not answer a question on this mailbag, that is a great way to still get a hold of me. We still have one more question, though, that we're going to get to on today's show. Again, at WillScott44 on Twitter. You can follow me there, almost at 3,000 Twitter followers. Go and follow me there. Okay, so somebody's asking, should we bring back Sony Michel? I was surprised that we got rid of Sony Michel, and we did, but no, I feel pretty good about the current running back situation. I think Sony Michel is better than Myles Gaskin, honestly, at this point. Guys, go down and subscribe for news, rumors, watch parties, and more all year. Go subscribe to the channel. Hit that big red sub button to stay in the loop with the Fins.